Welcome back. Here we're going to carry on looking at rounding. If you're new to rounding, or if you're still confused by it, do go back and have a look at my earlier video which goes into the basics. As we've said before, rounding is changing a number so it's to its nearest 10, 100, 1000 and so on. So what we were doing last time is, if I've got a number, for example, like 28, and I'm rounding it to the nearest 10, 28 is closer to 30 than it is to 20, so we will move it up to 30. If I had a number like 285, and I'm doing this to the nearest 100, am I closer to 200 or am I closer to 300? Well, I'm closer to 300. So what I'm going to do now is show you a system that will work with any number to round to any number you want. And I'm going to begin by looking at rounding to the nearest 100. Now, where people get confused with this and make mistakes is getting confused in the place value column of where they need to round to. So I'm going to write a number here. I'm going to write 365. Now, the first thing I always want to do when I'm rounding is highlight the column which I'm rounding to. I'm rounding to the nearest 100. Well, in 365, the 3 is the 300. So I know that the digits past my 100, so the tens and the units, must be zeros because I've got to go up in steps of 100. So what I do is, now I've highlighted that 300, I look at the next digit along, moving right, which is the tens column, and think to myself, is that nearer to the next 100, the 400, or is it nearer to the 100 below, the 300? Well, of course, 6 is taking me closer to the next 100, so that 365 must round up to, you got it, 400. Let's have a look at another example. And this is especially useful, this technique, when you've got larger numbers. So if I've got 4,817, remember, the first thing to do, it's to the nearest 100, so let's put an arrow above that 800, because that is what I'm rounding to, the hundreds column. Then go to the next column, the tens, and I've got a 1 here. I've got 110 in this column. So am I closer to the 800, or am I closer to the next 100 up, the 900? Well, clearly 817, that 1 must mean that I stay at 4,800. Don't worry about any of these other digits because I will never use them. I'll only ever put a 0 in because I'm rounding to the nearest 100. Let's do a longer number now. Let's do 28,756. So I'm rounding to the nearest 100, so let's put an arrow above that 7. Aha! Now the next digit here is a 5. Now I hope you'll remember from before that if it's a 5, you always go up. So that 28,756 is going to have to round to, I haven't left quite enough space here, 28,800. And this will always work. Let's go to the nearest 1,000. So let's get some bigger numbers in here. Let's do 256,124. So the first thing is, let's identify where we're rounding to. We're rounding to the thousands columns, units, tens, hundreds, thousands. Look at the next digit. Well, that's a 1. So I'm closer with that 100 to 6,000 than I am to the next 1,000 up, which is 7,000. So off we go. That will become 246,000. Let's do another one. 398,901. We're rounding to the nearest 1,000, so straight away let's put an arrow above that 1,000 column. Look at the next digit along. We've got a 9. Well, 9 is well, it's 900, it's the digit 9 in the hundreds column. That 900 is much closer to 9,000 than it is 8,000. So in this example, it will round up to 399,901. You've got to keep your wits about you, because sometimes you might get an example like this, which is 699,754. So first things first, to the nearest thousand. Highlight the thousands column, I've got 9,000. Look at the next column along, and I've got 700. Well, that 700 is closer to the next 1,000 than it is to the 9,000 I've already got here. But if I go up to the next 1,000, I've already got 699,000. So 1,000 up from that is going to take me all the way up to 700,000. Let's just try this now for the nearest 10,000. Let's get some nice big numbers in here, because I can feel that you're feeling confident. Let's put in 1,285,632. So remember, first thing to do, identify the column we're rounding to. So here we go, 10,000s, units, tens, hundreds, thousands, and 10,000s. Look at the next column, it's a 5. Well, we know that with 5s we go up. So I will go up from 80,000 to 90,000 to give me a number of 1,290,000. Remember, we're rounding to the nearest 10,000, so all of these digits here will be zeros, because I'm not interested in what these are, because I'm going to the nearest 10,000, as if I was counting up in 10,000s. 290,000, 300,000, 310,000. Let's do another big one to finish off with. So I'm going to do, let's do to the nearest 100,000. So let's do a nice big number. Let's do 28,346,812. I'm not going to have space there, so I shall do it underneath. Again, let's identify the nearest 100,000, which is here. 300,000. Look at the next digit, which is a 4. So it's not going to go up to the next 100,000, which would be 400,000. It's going to stay at 300,000 to give me 28 million, 300,000. Right, there we go. I hope that's made sense and been clear. Just to recap, wherever you're rounding to, identify in the number you're rounding the digit in which you're rounding up to. So nearest 100, put an arrow above the hundreds. Nearest 1,000, put an arrow above the thousands. Look at the next digit along and see if you're going to remain at this 1,000 or if you're going to move up to the next one. As always, good luck with this and see you in the next video.